So before getting into this video, of course, as a disclaimer, I will be covering stuff that, of course, was missing from Season 1 and, of course, stuff from Season 2 of course, Rising of the Shield Hero. So depending on what you've watched, depending on where you've read at, this may contain some spoilers, it may not, but again, as a pre-warning, that may be the case. So getting into this particular character and who they are, and a little bit of a deep dive analysis breakdown on them, who they are, what they're about, the analysis of them, and discussing about them, and of course going over some stuff that maybe you do or don't know. But of course, getting into them, as I like to refer to them as Crybaby, it's understandable why they are the way they are. If you look at their backstory, they've came from a background of a noble family that lived in a farmhouse. They lived in a very small area that didn't make them much wealth. So of course they ran into a lot of financial problems when they of course opposed some of the rulings and stuff going on. So because they didn't fall into line, they lost and was stripped a lot of their power, which led to them becoming an easy target by the neighbors, and they were stolen from, robbed, and this just led to one bad situation after another. You know, those feeds then pretended to be adventurers, pretended to help them, then took more money from them, and which led to, of course, her being taken as well as basically collateral for, of course, the costs, which was then sold back for a high cost as well. Basically, she was thrown aside because the family ended up digging themselves into a bad situation because of their unfortunate situation. So, which of course led to, of course, the bow hero himself, Itsuki, led to him being the knight in shining armor as per se. Walked in there, took out the bad nobles, you know, the people in charge of the neighbors, and then of course freed her. But of course, as you know from the anime and the light novels, that didn't end up turning out to be a easy situation. It ended up getting quite bad. You know, he came in, he saved the day, he put in new people in charge, but those people ended up raising taxes as well and led to people starving and of course famine and all kinds of horrible things, which of course is something that also happened of course to that town that of course that noble family were also in charge of as well, which led them to turning on that noble family. So yeah, things weren't pretty. So of course she got saved by the bow hero and she felt deeply indebted and decided to serve the bow hero, which led to her basically being an errand girl. And this is where it really gets into the stuff that kind of frustrates me about the bow hero. He's very much one of those that likes to look at himself as, you know, does the right thing. It's all about justice and being the hero. And for someone that was bullied, so his backstory comes from, you know, someone that was bullied, he's kind of adopted this wanting to be superior, wanted to be the hero, to kind of stand above those that bully and belittle those under them. But at the same time, he's almost kind of become very narcissistic. Again, I can understand why he's in the situation that he is. You know, he's been bullied, he's been beaten down, he doesn't want to be in that same situation, but he's ended up becoming his own worst nightmare because he's so focused on justice, it's actually blinded him. And you can see that, especially when he's been transported into this alternative world and he's gotten her as errand girl. In a sense, he is bullying her because he's gone, hey, you're useless in my eyes, so I'm going to make you the errand girl and you can go buy stuff, go pick up errands, carry stuff, and also forces her into taking up certain weapons and skills that don't complement what she is strong in, which is magic. She's very versatile, which makes her kind of a jack of all trades. And to, again, give a bit more of a background, she did study at the Fowbury Academy, which is also the same place as Melty did, as you know who. So she is very good. Also was struggling to pick a major because she just accelerated in so many different areas. So again, it falls under that category of she's a jack of all trade. She's got a large wealth of knowledge, which can be led to wisdom, but because of her timid personality, it makes her kind of hard to approach and also hard to get that knowledge out of because she buckles under pressure. She kind of tenses up and freaks out, which leads her to kind of having that fuzzy mindset of, you know, she's got that knowledge there, but because she's so easy to fluster, she freaks out and makes her a bit of a scatterbrain as per se. When she ends up joining the Shield Hero, that's where her full potential is able to be realized because the Shield Hero is able to, you know, reset those levels, get her where she needs to be when it comes to her power, allows her to study more and use that knowledge that she has to help steer the team or the group or party, however you want to put it, into making wise decisions, because she has a large amount of knowledge and the ability to take in a lot of that knowledge, which again, because she's able to take in all these different things, it makes her again that jack of all trades. That's the thing that makes her so good, is that yes, she has this particular jack of all trades when it comes to magic, but also knowledge as well. And this is where the bow hero really did not use her to her full potential. She is very knowledgeable, which allows her to be kind of like that encyclopedia of, hey, we're in this area, what do you know about this place, can you tell us about the people, etc., the culture, any interesting stuff that we could know that could end up helping us not just help the people or uncover hidden knowledge, etc., etc. And this knowledge first comes to kind of, again, use with, of course, the turtle, and having to defeat it and learning about it. And of course, she had some knowledge about it, which again, she went back, she learned more, and was able to bring that to the team and say, hey, this is the situation, this is what I can tell you, and it'll helped them tremendously. And this is where it frustrates me about the bow hero. The bow hero could have used her so much better as a team member, but because the other members are just so narcissistic as well, he in himself is all about justice, but he fails to actually follow those principles. And I'll be talking about him more directly in a separate video. Basically destroys so much potential that this individual has, because he's so focused on himself that he makes everyone else have to change themselves to fit around his needs, which ends up weakening them, and which ends up making his team weaker. And then he sits there and complains at the shield hero going, well, you cheated, you've done all these weird things, because how did you get your team so strong? How are you so strong? And it's like, well, again, it's a team effort. And that's one thing the shield hero knows very prevalently, that it's a team effort. And if he was able to use her skills, her jack of all trades to the full potential, he'd be much more stronger. He'd be able to use that wealth of knowledge, wealth of skills to accelerate his team and be able to take on greater challenges, which would allow him to, again, acquire more power, not just from absorbing different monsters, but also gaining more levels, gaining better equipment, as they seem to obsess over in the early stages, which would have allowed them to push further to compete with the shield hero's power and compete against, of course, the waves. And that is what frustrates me, of course, about the relationship between these two in the early stages, is that he treats her like garbage. And especially with the whole framing situation with, of course, the item itself, the breaking of the item, they use it as a way of kind of being like, oh, she lied, so we kind of use that as an excuse to justify throwing her at a party. It's like, dude, you're no better than Multi at this point. And the spear hero, you just play along with this false accusation, you throw her under the bus, and then do the whole, oh, well, I was playing ignorant, let them do all the dirty work. Again, where's this justice? And that's what's so sad about her backstory, is that she's been treated so badly from the early stages, and then is saved by the bow hero, falls head over heels, a little bit obsessive, let's just say that. Well, a little bit's an understatement, just very obsessive, to the point where it's a little bit, I don't know, disturbing, and even the spear hero gets a little bit disturbed by it, because of course his past as well when it comes to women. Because of her deep devotion, she's thrown herself in emotionally so much, and then to just be cast aside, it puts her in a very, very, very bad state of mind, which of course Philo ended up saving her where she went for a little bit of a swim. It's a pretty dark place to put her in. And again, it falls back, why did the bow hero put her in that situation? He's meant to be about justice. So it just really shows just how hypocritical the bow hero can be, but also the full potential that of course she had as a character. And that's why I think it was so important for her to join the shield hero, gain that new knowledge, gain that independence, but also gain that confidence in herself. It's a slow process, but it's a process that I think was well worth the journey. So again, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What are your thoughts about her as a character? I definitely think her backstory is quite fascinating, but not just her backstory, but also the whole situation with the bow hero and how everything transpires. And that is something that happens very early on in season 2, because of course the changes, of course, in season 1 which of course needed to be rectified in season 2. So again, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. But of course, if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe for more anime content, and I'll see you beautiful nerds in the next video.